see how many people are actually going to be in attendance. So we'll see. Do you have don't say it yet, Remzo, but do you have updates on okie dokie. Are you allowed to give them?
Nice.
See how many people are actually. Okay, less than 30 seconds. Okay, here we go, guys. Here you guys ready? I want to welcome everybody to the world according to Ben Stein. We are joined tonight. Welcome back to the party, pal. Managing editor of AM American Greatness, Ben Boychuk. Let's give him a big hearty welcome back. We missed you, Ben.
Thank you. I missed you too.
Don't sound so excited. And of course, our returning guest from Simple Life Now, off the grid expert, served her country for over 20 years. The real deal, Gary Collins. Welcome back as always, Gary.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And of course, podcaster extraordinaire, antique collector, Remzo, on the run, Martinez. Good to see you, Remzo.
Do I look as tired as I feel? Because I think I look good on screen.
You look great. You look.
Sometimes when you're tired, you're tired, you actually end up looking better.
I look stoic. Steve McQueenish. I dig it. I appreciate it.
I wouldn't lie to you. We're not Democrats.
But of course, this show would not be complete without economist, lawyer, former shoe salesman, entrepreneur, husband, America's humble servant, Benjamin Jeremy Stein. Welcome aboard, sir.
It is my stone solid honor, Judah.
And before we start, I want to thank everybody that's watching us live on the live stream on YouTube. But Remzo is going to quickly tell people where all the places they could find us. Remzo.
We're under attack, yet we live again. If you're watching tonight, you're part of the very few, the solemn few, the invincible, the unconquerable, those who actually subscribed and hit the notification button. So congratulations. If you're watching this and you haven't hit the bell, go ahead and do that so you get notification whenever we go live or whenever new content is uploaded. As always, please go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes, Google, Stitcher Play, wherever you could find podcasts on Al Gore's amazing internet. And just now, it's freaky fresh. It came out the other day as a result of the Parler purge. You can go ahead and find the newsletter from America's humble servant himself, Ben Stein, at benstein.substack.com. That's benstein.substack.com. Regular correspondences from his truly. They couldn't silence him. They couldn't get rid of him. They can't squash him. He's still out there going directly to your inboxes. So once again, benstein.substack.com.
I think that's a good address. Good address is 80 Park Avenue.
And we lost Gary for a second, but I want to, of course, we have to get right to the most important news for all of us this week. And it goes bigger than Parler, but obviously a lot of it has to do with Parler, is the absolute shutdown and suppression, Ben Stein, of what they're trying to do to free speech in America.
It's terrifying. It's amazing. It's something I never thought would happen in this country. It's a development which should scare all of us, and now it scares me. The Constitution does not go far enough. There are government-like entities like Google, American, what's it called? Oh, Amazon, right? That have a stranglehold on internet communications. The government does not forbid them from exercising that stranglehold and choking off free discussion. That is a scary proposition. We have absolutely got to get the internet open again for everyone who wants to use it to discuss important developments. It is astounding, mind-boggling. Louis Farrakhan can tweet all he wants about killing all the Jews, that somebody or other can tweet a lot about having sex with his stepdaughter, but we cannot just tell anyone a statistic about the national debt. We cannot do that because the powers that be in Washington and all over the country have said no discussion of anything important. Just you can talk about your fishing, you can talk about your cooking. You cannot talk about anything important, period.
And let's go to Ben Boychuk. He's been missing a while. Exceptional points, Mr. Stein. We keep losing Gary Collins. He's sort of like the, pop up, pop out. But Ben Boychuk, why don't you tell us a little bit about your thoughts on this? I know that, you're in the publishing business and you could get sued for libel. You have
Sure.
libel laws or slander. Yet the, yeah. And you're very protective of right. And what are your thoughts on this insanity that's going on?
I'm old enough to remember, and I'm not that old, but I'm old enough to remember when liberals and some left wingers, but liberals thought it was scandalous, horrifying, would be horrified at the idea that multi-billion-dollar multinational corporations could say what counts as legitimate speech and what doesn't count as legitimate speech. And I have books gathering dust on my shelves with titles like Culture Incorporated and the Media Monopoly that made a big to-do about the fact that it was a dangerous thing for democracy for large corporations to have a concentration of media ownership. And yet, I've seen in the past week, and certainly on Friday, when Twitter finally banned the president from its platform, people celebrating and making, and left-wingers, it's like dyed-in-the-wool leftists saying, well, it's a private company, they can do whatever they want.
We now see the incredible hypocrisy of the left. We now see the way the Stalinists and the Leninists seized power in Moscow and St. Petersburg to create the communist super criminal state. Lenin said, or one of Lenin's friends said, the power was just lying in the street. We just picked it up and ran with it, or something like that. The power was lying on the internet. Nobody stopped them. The government didn't stop them. The powers that be in the internet world showed they were more powerful than the government. The government didn't have the balls to do anything to keep free speech going. The cowardice of the people in the government towards this erosion of free speech is absolutely terrifying. And I sit here in my room filled with pictures of famous people I used to have on my talk show. Who knows how much longer it'll be before I'm in a room that has nothing on the walls except instructions about not to pee in my roommate's water dish. I mean, it's just scary as hell.
And Ben Boychuk, you actually raise a great point that I want to get to in the next segment, by the way, which is the free market, okay? Because I really do want to get that. You wanted to finish up, Ben?
No, I'm sorry. Ben, which Ben do you want to talk? Which Ben are you talking to?
Ben Boychuk.
To me, I think, but I actually have a question for you, Ben Stein, that's completely on point. And I want to get your perspective as a lawyer. And also, I think, do you read the Wall Street Journal every day, right? Or just about?
Yes, but not every word, but I do read it, yeah. It's too long to read.
All right, well, there was a piece, and I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but there was a piece in the Journal yesterday, headline, Save the Constitution from Big Tech, by, oh God, I'm going to butcher this fella's name, Vivek Ramaswamy and Jed Rubenfeld.
I saw the head. I did not read it. I'm ashamed to say. I think I still have it lying around the house, so I will try to find it. But thank you for telling me about it.
It's because he couldn't read the name, Ben Boychuk.
Well, let me can I just give you the quick gist?
Yes,
I mean,
please,
the quick
please,
gist
please.
is that the Supreme Court has had things to say before in the past, and that there are possibly some legal precedent here where they refer to a case. They've referred to several cases, but I'll just mention this one: Norwood versus Harrison from 1973. That the government, quote, may not induce, encourage, or promote private persons to accomplish what it is constitutionally forbidden.
Oh my God, that is amazing! My God, tell me the site, please, again. Norwood
versus Harrison, 1973.
Thank you. I will look it up as soon as I get off the show. Thank you very much. That's really, really an important thing. So they say that essentially these companies can, if they choose to act that way, act as a quasi-government and therefore should have the protections afforded citizens against such entities by the Bill of Rights applying to them. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think what the court actually is really saying in that, what the argument really of the op-ed is that Congress, and certainly the Democrats in Congress, have been pressuring big media, big tech companies to suppress speech. And what the Supreme Court said in that 73 case, Norwood, was that government can't use private entities to censor speech. So there may be some way of getting at it. In other words, saying that there's a kind of collusion between, say, Congress and these large tech companies, basically saying, if you want this protection.
Sorry, Ben, I beg your pardon.
No, sorry. So they go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is, for those of us who are old enough, we remember reading Roe v. Wade and the one that came before that, legalized birth control device to the state of Connecticut. And the justice said there are penumbras and emanations from the First Amendment. The penumbras and emanations obviously would include anything having to do with suppression of free speech by a private entity, if the private entity were big enough. That's staring them right in the face. What stops them from extending those penumbras and emanations to protect the citizens of this, the greatest country in the world? Just their own very embarrassing inertia and cowardice.
Great points, both of you. What do you, Gary, who's back on the grid, as somebody in the YouTube chat said? What are your thoughts on this? I know this is you like to say you're in the middle one way or the other, but this, I know, has been a devastating blow to you, to what you've seen go on with the suppression this past week.
Well, yeah, as I was dealing with tech issues as I'm on the road, to me, it was surprising yet not surprising, right? I talked about, I did a recording today where I was talking about how Amazon, I thought it was odd that they were running a strong PR campaign for 6 months. And I went, they're up to something, right? And I just, it didn't make sense the way that it was real feel good, touchy, how good we are. And I ran the numbers, and this is going to shock some people, but with employed Americans today, 1 out of 100 Americans works for Amazon who are
it's incredible. Gary, you are so amazing. I was just talking to a young friend of mine from the Republic of Korea, and I said that exact point. 1 out of every 100 Americans works for Amazon. And it's just, and 100 out of 100 Americans are getting their free speech rights slammed shut by these big tech companies. All of us are.
Yeah.
Except for those of us in this little room.
And think about it, though. When you look at, being a former investigator, I look at all the circumstances. And when I saw that PR campaign, I went, he's getting ready to lay the hammer on something. What is it? Well, now we know what it is. What better way to use propaganda to soften the American public up for what you're about to do than run these gushy campaigns? So when you lay down the hammer, Americans will go, oh, no, they're just going after that guy, the guy we don't like, those people, not realizing the hammer's going to fall on us all. They're going to get everyone eventually. And I think that was the first step. It's scary. This is the road to socialism. We are.
Sir, my dear friend Gary, it's worse than socialism. Socialism really is not even close to what this is. This is 1984. This is INGSOC. This is the suppression of speech and thought. Yeah. And as those of us who recently, in fact, I read a little bit of it almost every day. I read 1984 recently. Thought crime. That is to say, any crime, any thoughts contrary to the party line, that is by itself death. It doesn't entail death. It is death. And we're not there yet. We're a long way from being there. But that's the path we're heading on. It's a very, very frightening path. Heartbreaking, or as my wonderful wife, the finest person in the world, would say, heart-rendering. It's the absolute worst political thought that has ever come down the pike in this country. Far worse than secession.
And I want to get to Remzo. Remzo, what are your thoughts on this? Because you obviously had a huge part in the growth of a company like Parler. Are there any Parler rumors, and what are your thoughts on this?
Well, they have a contractor out of Washington State called Epic. They're going to be hosting the Parler servers there, and they should be getting them, according to the Washington Examiner, this Friday. I can only assume. I'm not speaking as somebody that still has direct contact with the owners. I haven't spoken with the staff, but just from what I can see, they're probably losing about 100,000 people conservatively each day who will never return. And this should have been.
Where do those people go, sir?
They're not coming. They're not coming back because they saw this. They're going elsewhere, but they're not going back to Parler after this, because what they just saw was twofold. One, every vendor, every service provider, almost in unison, went ahead and dropped them. But now what we're seeing right now are the stories of hacking, or the stories of what's going on of private information of Parler users. What we're seeing is a coordinated effort to not only deplatform them, but to smear them, so that way no one feels safe enough to ever return. Should Parler go back, I'll be happy to return to my 29,000 followers on there. So, and I know you've got hundreds of thousands there. I know Gary had a large following on there. Ben Boychuk, American Greatness, and even Judah did. That was a big referral for our viewers, throughout our channels and all our other projects. So I hope they come back just as a consumer, just somebody that, needs it to be able to communicate with people. But, over this weekend, it was hilarious. I was talking to many friends and clients and peers of mine, and we're trying to collect emails for people so we can get newsletters up. We're trying to get on other platforms, MeWe, Clout Hub. I feel like you just put two words together. There's a social media site for it now. They're popping up everywhere. But, what this does is this basically shows is that within the matter of seconds, you can be just removed from civil society. And what we're seeing right now is even more horrifying. This happened today. Deutsche Bank and Signature Bank and a few other banks went ahead and closed the checking, savings accounts, the money markets accounts for Donald Trump, the sitting president. So now we're seeing what I think is one of the most dangerous phases of cancel culture right before violence. We're seeing debanking. And you think that people are mad now since they can't talk to each other, they can't talk to the president? Imagine what happens when you start messing with everyone's money.
I had not heard this. It's absolutely breathtaking. I don't know what to say. I think I've said a number of times on this platform here that wifey and I are blessed to have a home in North Idaho, far from these nutcases in Silicon Valley or wherever they are. Maybe we'll be on our way there soon with my wife's goddamn cats. I don't know.
And if you just tuned in, you are listening to The World According to Ben Stein. I want to thank everybody that's watching us tonight on our YouTube stream. We love you. Thank you. I just want to give a brief update. When Remzo on this is a true story on Sunday morning said, Judy, you got to get a newsletter going. I thought he was joking. Okay. I mean, like, newsletters to me were like 1996 and AOL dial-up. And I am so grateful and thankful that he did, as a way of getting in touch and staying in touch with people. And on that note, Remzo, please tell people where they can find us.
Hey, right now we're still on YouTube for as long as the powers that be praise Kamala Harris. Go ahead and allow us to be on here. So go ahead and hit the subscribe bell so you get a notification whenever we go live or post new content. As always, you can go ahead and catch us afterwards in the audio version. You can subscribe to The World According to Ben Stein on iTunes or wherever you can get podcasts online, your preferred app of choice. And please, right now, I'm pretty sure it's in the description, benstein.substack.com. benstein.substack.com.
And we don't advocate any violence. We don't advocate any breaking of any law. We never will advocate any violence. We never will advocate breaking of any law. And let me back up and say, this gentleman on my left, Judah Friedman, we drove down to our house in the desert. Yes, was it yesterday or the day before?
No, it was Saturday. We were driving back Saturday night.
Judah found for me President Trump's remarks to the crowd prior to the storming of the Capitol. There was not one word about incitement to violence. And in fact, he said explicitly, this has to be peaceful. Has to be peaceful. That's never referred to. There's never any hint that he insisted that his followers be peaceful. Why? Why is that? And he's kicked off, and Louis Farrakhan praising Adolf Hitler is still on. How can that be? I mean, I know it is, but it's outrageous.
And the Ayatollahs. It's a great question you raise, and I want to welcome everybody back, of course, to the man. Welcome back to the world, according to Ben Stein, and of course, everybody that's listening on our YouTube channel. But I wanted to get to this because it really drove me nuts. Okay, and I'm livid. This person drives me crazy, and I'll go to all of you on this. Is Mark Cuban? Okay, Mark Cuban keeps on saying it's capitalism, just you could choose, you could pick and choose, but when it comes to the internet at this point, you cannot pick or choose, guys. You can't just say, I mean, like Amazon, I didn't even know Amazon was a cloud service site. I didn't know Amazon could literally shut down a company. I wonder how many people before Parler got shut down knew that, and you can't just boycott it. But Ben Boychuk did, and anybody in the business probably, and Remzo, okay, jackasses. Okay, you all knew. I was left out of the loop. Okay, thank you.
I knew nothing about it.
And me and Ben Stein didn't know. Okay, we didn't know. But it's tiring hearing because it almost seems like these companies aren't capitalism; they're countries. They are goddamn countries. They are the size of countries. And, I'll go to each of you on this one. You can't just say, like, here, I wanted to do a phone burning with Ben Stein, right? What phone am I going to get next? What am I going to have, like a little flip phone? I'm going to go back to the Nextel Nokia Sidekick? Ben Stein, what do we do? I mean, it almost seems like we're powerless.
We hide. No, I'm kidding. We keep talking. And if we can, we litigate. I am a lawyer. I think I'm the only lawyer on the panel. Although Ben Boychuk, are you a lawyer too? I forget. Are you a lawyer too?
No, I'm not. I just read a lot of stuff.
I stayed at Holiday Inn last night.
Sir?
I stayed at Holiday Inn last night.
I don't get that.
Oh, it used to be a joke for Holiday Inn. You'd see a guy, he got hit by a car, and somebody's like, oh, is there a doctor here? And somebody would come over and help the guy, and they're like, sir, are you a doctor? And the guy's like, no, but I stayed at Holiday Inn last night. Holiday Inn, where smart people stay.
I get it.
Great linear thinking, but go on, Ben.
That's not going to Judas jokes. Anyway, so I think we litigate, we read, we write. I, myself, my own self, my bad self, sit at my computer door, which is just a few feet from where I'm sitting now, while I am confronted with some delicious snack pretzels. And I go to my computer late at night, waking up my wife, and for some reason she says, where's the Cobra going? I don't know what that means. But anyway, and I go over to my computer and I write something, and we keep grinding it out, little by little by little by little. We grind it out. We fight. And we're very blessed that we don't have to fight with guns. We can fight with words, which is a much better way to fight because nobody's ever killed by having an insult hurled at him or thrown at him. Right. Eventually the torch will be passed, and we will get some people who understand the meaning of the word freedom, and we will get some people who've read the Constitution.
And on that point, I want to bring up something before I get to Ben Boychuk, Gary Collins. Somebody actually, because I was thinking about this today, we're getting close. They're suppressing the right, or people that don't believe what they're saying, so much that I believe like we're going to be close to having ham radios and CBs, Gary Collins, which I know you have.
I have neither one, believe it or not.
I'm shocked.
No, Ben lives about 30 miles from me. I'm just going to base in Sandpoint. All right. Well, that's where I'm going. So no,
you're going up to North Idaho too? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
I can tell you the best milkshakes in town.
I'm in Newport. So, for me, I tell people, because I always get asked, because people miscategorize me as a prepper. Nothing against preppers. I go, no, I'm just living for freedom. That's everything I do is about ultimate freedom and how I can pursue it and live it. And part of that is I go, it's just like they go, so if they attack your place, what are you going to do? How many rounds you got to go? I only need one round. That's it. If it gets to that point, we're done. It's over. The cat's out of the bag, and there's not going to be hunting. It won't go that far. I pray every day it doesn't. But for me,
look. I will tell you something with the greatest possible respect. litigate, 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 just endlessly litigate. Eventually, you'll find a judge who's got some cojones, who's going to start jamming the spokes of the bicycle, and will start slowing down this bicycle a little bit. Then we'll start slowing down the man who owns it, the woman who owns it, trans who owns it. We are going to jam their gears little by little, but we'll get it done.
I have to humbly disagree with you, unless, Ben, you're interested in buying a few bridges I have to sell. But Ben Boychuk, isn't this a terrifying fear of yours? You run a massive online site, American Greatness, and at any moment they could just cut the cord.
Well, yeah. So we were on Amazon servers for a little while, and we're not anymore. It's been a couple of years. The reason why Amazon's cloud service is so attractive is that it's big, it's efficient, it's reliable. The servers don't go down. If they do go down, they don't stay down very long. They're scalable and they're affordable. And so, of course, they're an attractive solution for anybody with a growing online business. But if you're in the controversy business, which I am in, they were not so great. And so we're on other servers, but yeah, I mean, it seems to me that anybody is vulnerable.
We're all vulnerable. They're vulnerable too. They're vulnerable too.
I don't see
They're vulnerable too. We've got to get working and get a judge or two who's on our side or will be on our side. Just keep working at it. Just
Ben, I got to believe that almost all the judges are bought and paid for by these companies at this point.
We don't. All we need is a few of them, and we will little by little start slowing down the man.
Ben, what do you make of? Parler is suing Amazon under the Sherman Antitrust Act. Does that sound viable to you? Is that?
Yes, very, 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 very much so. And you know what? If I may tell you this is a little secret. You don't have to get into Yale Law School to go, or Harvard Law School to learn this. The judges do what they effing feel like, and we will little by little one day just get a judge who's going to say, guys, Ben, Gary, Remzo, Ben, Judah, I think there's something to what you're talking about. I'm going to issue an injunction, permanent injunction, saying you cannot do X, Y, and Z, and put Parler back on the air. And then some other judge is going to say, no, I remove that injunction. The judge will say, no, I reinstate that injunction. Little by little, keep pounding on the door. Eventually, the door will creak open, and we will start seeing the man start shaking. And because he knows that behind us are many, many other people who want their freedom. When we want it now.
Yeah, it's very expensive, and thank you for your optimism, Ben. Some of us don't share it or feel that, but that's why you're here. You are Mr. Optimistic. And let's go to Mr. Bob Dabalina, Remzo Martinez. What are your thoughts on this, Remzo?
I mean, it's not even just going against Amazon. Amazon is already a behemoth right now. What did we see last week? Stripe, Venmo, PayPal, Shopify, Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. If I haven't already said Facebook a dozen times, we're seeing that everybody within a span of 5 hours Friday night, deplatform and essentially deperson the sitting president of the United States forever.
Yes.
A lot of them are saying that it'll only be until his term is over, but some have said forever. The Ayatollah is on there. All these other people are on there. You can't exist if you don't have an online presence these days. And now the fact that his banks are going after him, that terrifies me.
That is why we have to get enough lawyers who will go after them endlessly.
Ben, here's the big problem with your thing, right? So Parler lost all of its lawyers. Trump, all his lawyers dropped him. Nobody is going to take these cases because they're scared for their firms of being branded as people on the right. And it's going to take a few, people love to talk about Judicial Watch, but Judicial Watch isn't lawyers. That's why we love Larry Klayman at Freedom Watch, because Larry Klayman is actually a lawyer that can sue. Yeah, Ben Boychuk.
Let me add something to that, and I don't know if this is news yet, but it is legit. So John Eastman, who is, or rather was, a professor at Chapman University Law School in Orange County, represented President Trump briefly in the Texas lawsuit in December, and then appeared at the rally on Wednesday last week. And there was a tremendous hue and cry to have him fired. He didn't get fired. He got bought out, though. And so he's no longer a professor at Chapman. And so maybe that's a happy ending for him. But it's certainly the case that I don't think people are going to stop at that. I think people are going to want to make sure that he never practices law again. Same with Rudy Giuliani. Same with
same with everybody.
Look, I've had this done to me. I'm a extreme free speech, constitutional, federalist guy in Hollywood. I've had it done to me. It scares me to death. I think I do not want to be a homeless person, but we have to keep at it. We will keep at it. Eventually, as I say, we will get a judge who'll see the way. I mean, we will get a judge. I mean, nobody would have dreamed, would not have dreamed in 1953 that segregation would be ruled unconstitutional. I can remember it. I can remember the all-black schools in the horrible all-black neighborhoods where they didn't even have running water, and nobody would have said that'll ever change. It changed overnight. We just need one or two judges to get in there and dirty their hands and do some work to preserve and protect the Constitution.
So it's 150 years until that happened. But on that note, if you just tuned in, you are listening. It can happen.
We're not afraid. We're going to die anyway. We might as well die fighting.
If you just tuned in, you are listening to The World According to Ben Stein. And I want to thank everybody that's watching on the stream. Remzo, can you please tell people where they could find us?
Important. If you remember only one thing tonight, it's benstein.substack.com. That's benstein.substack.com. That way, no matter what happens anywhere else, at least for now, Substack seems to be keeping their word. You can directly communicate with Ben and everyone else from The World According to Ben Stein. Please, if you haven't already and you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon so you get notifications, and subscribe to us on iTunes for the audio version of the podcast.
And give us a high rating, please.
Yes.
Please, a 5-star rating and review. It costs you nothing, but it means everything to us.
5 stars, 10 stars. And on that note, welcome back to The World According to Ben Stein. And this next topic it hits close and near and dear to my heart because as I read a New York Post story the other day, one of the people that was at the Capitol wearing a goofy outfit was somebody that sat behind me in synagogue for about 15 years. And when I saw the name, I saw
Buffalo guy?
What? No, not the
Buffalo guy.
The one, the other guy, and on that,
the witch.
Well, he had like a fur hat on. He looked like I don't know what he was wearing. And I saw the story, and I was on a Zoom call with him. But that's neither here nor there. Ben Boychuk, I want you to tell the story of what the Attorney General right now, the acting Attorney General, is doing.
Acting U.S. Attorney in D.C., Michael Sherwin, today went on the news, had a press conference in which he said, "We're looking at significant felony cases tied to sedition and conspiracy charges."
And what? And conspiracy? Yes.
Yeah. So sedition, though, sedition's the big one. Charges that have prison terms of up to 20 years. He said, he went on to say, "You will be charged and you will be found." I want to make one little point before I throw it back to Ben Stein and everybody else.
I'm listening.
Sedition has always been used in this country, certainly, always been used to crack down on political dissent.
Yeah, but it didn't stick. They tried it after World War I in a big way. It didn't stick. Eventually, the courts all threw it out. It's not a viable thing to charge people with. It doesn't really mean anything. But definitely, I've been sued. I was sued by Joan Rivers. It's an effing nightmare to be sued. I don't like it one bit. Nobody likes being sued unless you're crazy. But you have to keep persevering. I mean, I will say, if I may, that lawsuit, terrible thing, really hurt my feelings a lot because I hadn't done anything bad to Joan Rivers. In fact, I'm still a great admirer of hers. Brought my wife and me closer together than ever before. And so it didn't turn out to be that bad a thing. I met some really, really smart people who really, really loved the Constitution. And it turned out to be a good thing. Get in there. Theodore Roosevelt said it, get in there, get into the arena, get into the arena.
Okay, Ben, he's bringing up though a different point, which is they're going after these people that that got into the Capitol building and charging them with sedition and up to 20 years in prison. For the better part of a year, we've had Antifa, we've had BLM going against every Capitol building almost in many states, looting, rioting, and not one time did a federal prosecutor come out and say we're going to try these people with sedition. Okay, it's 50 Trump supporters that are about to be charged and could possibly go away to jail for 20 years. This is what's going on, Ben. This is what we have to fight back.
I don't disagree. I think we do have to fight back, but I'm saying, thank you, God. It doesn't have to be with bayonets or with gunpowder. It can be with litigation and briefs and arguments and memoranda. And that's a much, much better way to do it. And I know some very, very smart judges. I know some that aren't so smart. Eventually, we'll get one who gets into it. I worked for a long, long time as an expert witness in incredibly, incredibly complex securities law cases. So complicated, just thinking about it now makes my head spin. We would eventually, our first few judges would always say, too complicated, too complicated. Eventually, we got somebody who got it, and we got a lot of progress made in protecting the rights of shareholders. We can do it again, protecting the rights of the citizens.
Okay, but Ben, what do we do with these people that are being charged when the other side? And I want to go to Gary, who was in law enforcement. When you see this double standard, Gary, that's going on, it must boggle your mind.
Well, it's like charging the football game streaker for murder. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. We had a group that literally started their own city in downtown Seattle called Chap or Chaz or whatever. Plot, I don't know what it was.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. And nothing happened. They actually killed people in there. I mean, and nothing happened.
There's a double standard. There's a double standard having to do with race in this country. I mean, you can get away with certain things if you're black. You can't get away with if you're white. You can get away with certain things if you're white. And you can't get away with if you're black. That's always been true in this country. This country is unfortunately built on a very questionable foundation of racism. There's no doubt about that. It's gone now. There's no more systemic racism. That's just nonsense. But we have a lot to overcome, and a judicial system stacked in favor of certain racial minorities is one of them. We just have to keep on trying.
Ben, you keep saying that, but what about the people that don't have that right now? What about the people that are going to go in front of judges and get sentenced to maybe 20 years in prison?
Sir, Judah, my dear friend, this Gesundheit.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It takes a long time for a case to get scheduled, to submit arguments, to submit oral arguments, have oral arguments, submit written arguments. It takes a long time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not like the Gestapo arresting a man who's just been found to have been dropped out of a Royal Air Force plane over occupied France. It's going to take a while, and it's going to take a long while for these people to get before courts. By that time, there'll be some great lawyers who will have been able to learn how to fight against anti-constitutional ideas.
I'll cut you a deal, Ben. I'll cut you a deal. We won't send you away for 20 years. We'll knock it down to a misdemeanor, and we'll send you away for 5. Does that work?
No, it does not work at all. What works is that we keep litigating and say until we find a judge who says this whole thing is unconstitutional and a violation of many parts of the Constitution. And we're going to keep working at it and keep working at it and keep working at it. And we're going to get the smartest people at Harvard Law School and Yale Law School and Columbia Law School and Stanford Law School.
Oh, yeah, because they're all liberal, because they're all conservative.
Some are and some aren't. Bob Bork taught at Yale.
And that's 30, that's 50 years ago that Bob Bork taught there. There are no more of these people. There are no more mavericks. There are no more people that are that you're saying.
There have to be some. There have to be some that just would not be law school if there weren't some mavericks.
But Ben, until that happens, Trump supporters are being treated by the left, the brown shirts right now, And it is the Gestapo tactics that they're using.
They shouldn't have stormed the Capitol. I'm sorry. I'm tired of defending these people. You know, the
But
world
nobody-
sucks, but
Remso,
here's the
my
thing.
dear friend, nobody here
You
thinks
don't
that
want to be, you don't want to be treated like a criminal. Don't do criminal stuff. And that's the
With
thing that
greatest
bothers me.
respect,
It's the
Remso, we all
whataboutism.
agree with you, sir. We all agree with you. You're preaching to the choir. We all agree with you. Nobody thinks it was a good idea to storm the Capitol. That was an idiotic idea, criminal and terrible thing to do. No doubt about it whatsoever. None whatsoever. But the idea of slapping sedition charges on people who weren't anywhere near it, that's crazy. The idea of taking away the ability of the president of the United States to communicate with the citizens of the United States, that's insanity. That's unbelievably bad. That we have to fight against tooth and nail.
And Ben, I mean, Gary Collins, I mean, what is your take on this? Because I just don't see it.
I have a different twist, and I think Remso will agree with me a little bit on because we've talked about it. But I want to first start with the guy with the buffalo horns hat and his outfit should be given complete immunity for current and all future crimes for creativity.
Buffalo King.
Hands down. Hands down. That was some funny stuff.
Well, that was Judah's friend.
No. My friend had like one of those, like, what are those Russian hats? I think they are. What are those called?
Was that the guy? He was the one on Pelosi's desk, wasn't
he? Yes.
Those
Did
were
he
good
get
too.
to
That
sell
was
the?
funny.
Did he get to sell the podium?
I think so. I mean, I just saw the picture. I don't even know what he was thinking. The New York Post ran a huge story on it. I saw the last name and I go, God, please, not the
same guy.
Yeah, let this not be the same guy. Yeah.
For me, you know, litigation's good. I don't disagree with, if you don't at least try, you're going to go nowhere. But me and Remso talked about this, and I kind of got on a soapbox in one of our groups. Was it today or yesterday? I started yelling at some people because everyone kept saying, I wish, oh, I can't wait till so-and-so, or if someone would create this. And I went, hey, shut up. If you want that to happen, go do it. Figure out how to solve that problem instead of complaining about it and whining about. The position we're in today is because we let a bunch of losers get in power, control us, and now that's where we're at today. If we create these networks, how about, if you have an idea and you want to create a server farm for people like us and you want to create an ethical company, go into one of these small towns that is shriveling up all over the US, start a server farm there, start employing some of these people and give them some hope and get them on our side. And if we create the infrastructure instead of these bozos who are nothing but power-hungry sociopathic losers, these were the kids who used to tattle on you for being in the hallway when you're taking a piss and tell on you a teacher that you weren't in class. That's who these people are. We need to create our own stuff, our own infrastructure, our own Apple, our own server farm, our own social media. I say we don't even create social media. I say we just skip that. But you know what I mean? Why are we are part of the problem? It's not about D's and R's anymore. It's about P's and S's. You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. That's how I look at you now.
Well, we're all part of the solution. We're being part of the solution right now by telling our fellow conservatives, don't do anything violent, don't break the law, or don't even think of breaking the law, don't even consider it, but do protest in a peaceful, lawful, orderly way. And if you have the wherewithal to do it, litigate.
Ben, somebody just brought up a point in the YouTube, and I'll have to fact check this, but Ben, 5,000 law professors and students from both Harvard and Yale have called for Cruz and Hawley to be disbarred. That's an amazing thing. They disagreed, so let's disbar them, Ben Boychuk.
Well, it's horrifying. Guys, I'm sorry, Ben. I'm sorry.
No, it's quite all right. And with respect to Gary's point a moment ago, reminds me a little bit about there's a joke about economists. There's an engineer, an economist, and a chemist are stuck on a desert island. Anyway, the punchline is assume a can opener. But in this case, assume you have, venture capital of $50 million or $100 million to build a parallel sort of infrastructure. It's a grand idea. What we need so very desperately is capital. And I'm not sure where we get that.
Which
I
I
It's
really
easy
don't.
to do. I mean,
I would like to
look,
call somebody
each
out.
person-
No, I want to just before you get to that, somebody always bring up, and I want to say Baruch Dayan Emet in Jewish, and God rest his soul. Sheldon Adelson passed away today.
Oh, a very
Um,
great
A
man.
huge Ben Boychuk donor to the cause, and somebody I believe that he's passed the legacy to his family for helping out. But there are a lot more Silicon Valley people than there are Sheldon Adelsons of the world.
I'd like to go. First of all, yes, Sheldon Adelson was a great, great help to the cause of constitutional government and a genuinely great man. But let's go to your question about capital. That's the beauty of internet fundraising. You send out a jillion internet communications. If even a small percentage of them each chip in a small amount of money, pretty soon you've raised enough money to hire a lot of lawyers for a lot of years. That's not that. I don't think that's that difficult to do. As Mr. Nixon said, we could do it. It would be easy, but it would be wrong. That's for sure. But I say no, it would not be wrong. It would be right. That's for sure.
And Remzo, just for the, we all agree with you about the capital. It's the punishment that doesn't fit the crime, and it's also the punishment that has been levied. Remember who Kamala Harris was the one that was supporting the bail for all the people that were getting arrested in Minnesota. Okay, for breaking down for what was it? For burning down police stations, for trying to break into the Capitol, all the money we spent securing these locations, and none of them have had to pay. Yet 50 Nimrods stormed America's house, which in a sense they do sort of pay the rent on, and they're facing 20 years in prison.
Do you think they're going to get a lot?
You're right. They may not get.
Respect, they're not going to get 20 years.
But they also might get in front of the wrong judge. Like you keep on saying about the right judges, they might get in front of a judge that says, you know what? I hate you guys. I don't know
what when they appeal, the next one might say the judgment of prior court was incorrect. We just have to keep trying. I mean, there's no magic weapon. You can't wave a wand. It just takes work.
And on that note, if you just tuned to, you are listening to The World According to Ben Stein. We're having a lively conversation. And I notice you guys are having that too in the YouTube chat room. Yes. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We're honored, we're privileged. And Remzo, please tell people all the different places they could find us now, and plus our new newsletter.
Which is the most important thing. Thank you so much. benstein.substack.com, benstein.substack.com, benstein.substack.com. If you remember nothing else, it's benstein.substack.com. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Substack? It's our newsletter.
What does Substack stand for?
Substack is part of it.
Yeah. It's the site.
Sounds great.
Yeah, but this is the way, this is how, regardless of what they do, you can directly communicate with Ben. He can get his message right into your inbox. It's the most important thing we want to get out today. Please, as always, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to us on YouTube, but if you do, on iTunes, but if you do anything else today, benstein.substack.com.
The smartest lawyer I ever knew in my life. Incredibly, unbelievably smart, brilliant lawyer. A lot of people hated him, but he was brilliant, still is brilliant. Bill Lirac, very, very super smart guy. He said, we trial lawyers are like earthworms. Chop us up, each one of us regrows and becomes another new worm, and we keep attacking. And that's what it's got to be with us. We're never going to do anything violent. We're never going to do anything that breaks law. Never. But we will keep litigating, but we're not going to do anything that breaks law at all, period.
And but the laws are changing so quickly, sir. So nobody's going to know in a few months what law breaking is. For all we know, it's going to be a simple post on a Parler page because people didn't like what we say, and our freedom of speech will have taken away. So we don't know that. But Ben Boychuk, you're more in the loop than any of us on what people are saying, since you do have a massive comment section at American Greatness. And I'm interested, what are people saying?
Well, people are furious. I mean, furious, and they're also scared. And so, I think there's a powerful current of what you're saying, Judah, that there's an expectation that things are going to get much, much worse as Congress, a unified Congress with a Democrat in the Oval Office signing God knows what executive orders and legislation. Now, again, all of it will be challenged, I'm sure, in a lot of ways, but it's so funny. We'll see what happens when people start seeking national injunctions. Liberty-minded people start seeking national injunctions to draconian executive orders coming out of the Biden White House and get smacked down in ways that challenges to Trump executive orders were upheld with a snap of the fingers. I mean, I think it's going to be a rough couple of years.
Absolutely, without question.
They said if I voted for Donald Trump, I would get authoritarianism, and they were right.
No, that's funny. That's very funny. Very funny.
That's a great point. And by the way, to the people in the chat room, the reason Remzo looks tired, he is tired. Him and I basically. Remzo is one of the hardest working men in America. He's pretty much been working since I want to say Sunday morning, helping a lot of people out. He helped us out. I mean, this show tonight, everything tonight would have been impossible without Remzo's help.
God bless you, Remzo. God bless you.
We owe Remzo, and I'm not just saying that. We owe Remzo. Remzo is the man. Okay, he is the man. When he said to me Sunday morning, I got to be honest, like I said, when he said a newsletter, I really thought of AOL, and I thought, what are we going to chat now? Are we going to have a little? Are we going back 28 years? And but Gary Collins, I almost feel like that's what they're trying to do to us. Like that is where they're trying to send us back to where we have dial-up. That's the best service we're going to get.
Well, and for that, like for my company, people are surprised. I use a lot of traditional old school marketing. The newsletter's key. Remzo's 100% right. If you're a small business owner, entrepreneur, your newsletter is gold, because that's how you can communicate with people who follow you, buy your products directly. I've always been a big fan of direct to consumer. I have a full e-commerce website. I control all of my content. I own everything because of what just happened right now. You guys may not know. I know Ben doesn't probably know. I was booted off my web hosting service 2 months ago. And the only difference was I teach simple living, people. Pretty benign what I do. I try to help people. I was on George Norrie, Coast to Coast. We talked about the election. We usually just talk off-grid stuff. We talked about the election, COVID, all the conspiracies. I was getting a bunch of traffic from Parler at that same time, and I had just interviewed the CEO of Parler, and it went live the week before. All of a sudden, I got booted off. They made some excuse that I was using too much resources. We analyzed everything. The only difference was I just interviewed the CEO of Parler. I was getting traffic from Parler, and we just discussed some hot topics because it literally happened 45 minutes after the interview ended. All the timing. Think about that. A guy whose website's called thesimplelifenow.com, The Simple Life, got booted off his hosting.
Shocking. We're living in shocking times. I mean, we're living in very difficult times. I've said this before on our wonderful show, and I'll say it again. When the Nazis smashed the French army, occupied France, most of France, and de Gaulle fled to England, and he was asked, "What's next, General?" And he said, "We face a prolonged struggle," or maybe he said a protracted struggle. "We face a protracted struggle. Thank God it does not have to be with guns. Thank God there's no Gestapo to throw us in the concentration camp. We will just keep on litigating. We'll pray, we'll write, we'll pray. I don't think you can ever underestimate or overestimate the value of prayer. I would like to see more prayer, less violence, no violence, absolutely no violence at all, and lots of prayer."
Ben, I think you're being extremely optimistic, and I pray you're right, but I do see the left going after people and putting them in jail. I do believe anybody that's associated with Donald Trump will be audited for the next 50 years, their kids, that's their goal right now. AOC is no different than, I brought this up, I can't remember who brought this up to me, the analogy, and I spoke to you in the car about this on the ride home the other night, with the Shah, getting rid of the Shah in Iran. And, that woman that was in front of the embassy, giving a list of demands for the Ayatollahs. And all I could think to myself was, I could see AOC sitting in front of a house with all us American citizens, in a gated fence, giving off demands of what to do to free us. And
I couldn't agree more. It's a very scary proposition, but what can we do? We're not going to just fold our tents and walk away and sneak away in the night. It's our country. It's our country. It's her country too. It's our country. We're citizens. We're allowed to express ourselves, and we have rights in the Constitution. We have rights. We cannot let them be taken away from us by anyone.
Right, but that's what you're saying, Ben, and I agree with you. I don't know. I'm speaking for myself, and I'm not advocating it in any way. If they keep on going after Trump supporters and people in this country, I don't see this ending well, Remzo. I just don't see this ending well.
I mean, last week I had people that I knew coming from around the country, and I live 30 minutes outside of the Capitol, and they're like, come on, bro, you got to come with us. Come on, man, you vote for Trump. Dude, come on, you're right there. Come on, man. It's like, you know what? You play stupid games, you get stupid prizes. And we know what the left does. We know how they act, yet we get surprised when they act that way. And you know what I did last week? I was working because no amount of anything could have changed what happened. It's like, we've got people that show up for those giant gun rallies in Richmond. Well, that's nice. How about you show up on election day? You think you showing up in your militia LARPer gear with your 50 cal is going to intimidate somebody who has the power of legal authority to pass law? They can kill you, and they will never go to jail for that if they wanted to. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to make my life better. I work hard and I do the dumb, boring stuff that people make fun of, because I'm trying to work hard today so I could live free tomorrow. Because at the end of the day, there are three things we could do: become as independent as possible, starve the beast, and be in debt to nobody, whether it's the government, banks, or to each other. Because right now, all those people out there that were screaming about the election, I'm sorry, it ended when the Electoral College came and everyone was like, oh, Lynn Wood, Rudy Giuliani.
Are you trying to like lose all our listenership in one night, Remzo?
I'm sorry, the truth is a terrible thing, but here's the truth. Donald Trump wasn't going to save you. He did a valiant effort. He took all the slings and arrows. That man is walking out with less than what he came in with, but he's one man. The only person that's going to take care of you is yourself.
Yeah, the three-legged stool, right, Remzo? The three-legged stool I teach.
I was just about to say you're going to the Gary Collins School of Life, but
absolutely.
But I want to bring up, though, is we're running out of time, Ben Boychuk, Ben Stein, everybody. I want to look at the last 2.5, 3 months since election night, right? What's gone on? We all could agree. We all know the numbers don't add up. Rigged, stolen. Okay. We all see in the last 3 months suppression of free speech. We've seen the president banned from Twitter and every form of social media within a month and a half, 2 months, right? We've seen our own site shut down within a month and a half, 2 months. That's how quickly in a concerted effort this is gone. What my biggest fear, I got to ask everybody, is what's next? What do they do next? What do you do when you take people's voices away? What do you do when you freeze half of America out? 74 million people out. What do you do, Ben Stein? I don't know.
That's a very, very good question, but there are still some sites that are available. I write a great deal for the American Spectator, a great deal for them. They're still around. Now, I know Judah does not like the person I work with. I don't think he does. I don't know. He does. I think he's a very Christian, kind person. I think he doesn't dislike anyone. I write. I've been interviewed a lot by a young woman who writes a column for Twitter. Get stuff out on that. Little by little, we'll get stuff out. Little by little, we just work at it little by little.
Ben Boychuk, what do we do?
Well, you can follow American Greatness at www.amgreatness.com. And you can visit us 7 days a week. And you can also, frankly, get on messaging apps that are encrypted, that have disappearing messages, and maybe invest in a lot of paper and ink and start studying what people in the Eastern Bloc did in Soviet times, because I think we're going to have to be very smart and very careful. And we're going to have to rediscover old ways of organizing, because if it's the case that, millions upon millions of people are going to be cut off from legitimate political discourse marginalized, then people will always find a way to communicate. It just might be harder than it was before.
La Raza, you need a no sempre vacara.
And Gary Collins, I do agree with you. All we could do is take accountability for what we do and our actions. But it's within 2 months, like you said, I love that you were on George Norrie's show. I've told you that. Coast to Coast is always one of my all-time favorite shows of all time, even minus Art Bell, one of the greatest talk show hosts ever created by God. What do
Miss
people
him
do?
a lot.
What do people do, Gary? I mean, it's
Well, I think besides that, self-reliance and work on that three-legged stool of optimal health, financial freedom by being debt-free, find your life purpose, which takes all the power back that we've given to these people to begin with. Another thing is to realize we have no margin for error. We don't get to be on the ship of fools, as my dog shakes right in front of me. We don't get that opportunity. So when as a group, if we go out and do these things and we act this way, realize it's going to be blown up 100-fold. We have no margin for error. We can't do those things. Even if it's screwing around sitting at Nancy Pelosi's desk, we can't act that way. We can't. So we got to, like Ben says, we got to bust our butt, work hard, and do it every single day. It's not as sexy, doesn't get you on YouTube, well, except for us, or on social media, but you know what it does? It makes a difference. That's what it does.
And I mean, you raise great points. I'm scared to death for the disenfranchised. I'm scared to death right now for the people that are going to be made sacrifices of. I feel terrible for the Trump family, what they're about to face. I feel bad for every Trump associate for what they're about to face. You talk about prayer and stuff, Ben Stein. These are people we truly need to be praying for, because they're going to have a microscope up there, what's for God long time. And it's terrible.
My wife is a saint, a living, breathing saint, a Presbyterian saint, a saint. She and I and you and all of us on this panel are going to pray. And prayer works, and prayer works wonders.
And if you just tuned in, I want to thank everybody who's been listening to The World According to Ben Stein. I want to thank everybody. And listen, we all disagree. We argue. I wish more. The whole point of this, to the people listening, is not everybody's always going to agree with Remzo. Not everybody's always going to agree with Gary or Ben or the other Ben or me, for that matter. Me probably the most, for the most part. I lose most arguments. Nobody agrees with me. And but the point is that we have real dialogue, and that's what's really missing in our country. I don't know how we get that back, but like Gary said, like all of us have said, it starts with us, right? Dialogue could only start with us.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And Remzo, please, as we're wrapping up, tell people where they could find everybody here.
Oh, please, you can go ahead and find everyone in the description of this episode. Please hit the notification bell on YouTube. I know that people have been mentioning Rumble and all the other places. I need more hours in a day. Judah needs more hours in a day. We're listening, we're loving, and we're reading all your comments. But please, a 5-star rating and review right now, because I see a bunch of you probably haven't already. 5 stars on iTunes. Let's us trend. Let's people know what's going on. Share these episodes with your friends, your family, your lovers, your enemies. Just share it with them. And as always, remember this: if there's one big thing you do tonight, you sign up for the newsletter, benstein.substack, SUBSTACK. I just had to remember how to spell that. My gosh. benstein.substack.com.
And we also forgot to mention a new feature we will be adding, which will Ben Ben, what did we call it, Remzo?
Ben
Ben
Stein.
Stein side bends.
Yes, it's going to be, we're
I'm
going to
tired.
send you through the internet delicious fried onion rings.
They're going to be called side bends, and we're going to be posting because until Ben could start commenting again. And even when that happens, this is I want to say this has been a great lesson for all of us, because since Sunday we've essentially been up working on contingency plans for the bigger picture. So even I want everybody to realize if Parler does come back up, when it comes back up, learn during those experiences, like Gary did when he got shut down. Like Ben has learned so many times when he's got shut down. When Ben Boychuk, when he's had issues with American greatness, you grow from those issues. And Remzo, I got to say, you taught me a lot since Sunday morning about many different things, and I'm extremely grateful. So
We are very grateful.
So
Very
stay
grateful.
tuned for that. You can find Gary Collins at Simple Life
Yay,
now.
Gary.
You can find
Hold on. Do it at The Simple Life. Now,
The Simple Life. Not to get confused with Paris Hilton. And you could find Ben Stein, of course, always at where Remzo just mentioned, also at American Spectator, spectator.org. You can find Ben Boychuk at amgreatness.com, but American Greatness, go search it out. Some fantastic writers. You could find Remzo with his many podcasts, On the Run with Remzo. You could find them all over the internet. How many Remzos are there?
There's 7.
There's 7, yes. And I want to thank everybody for listening tonight. Remind everybody Thursday night, same time, same place, same. We owe everything to you. I just want to thank you. I want to thank the panel again. You guys are awesome. Have a great night, and people, please be safe. Thank you.
And God bless America. God bless America.
Man, I'm waiting for you to sing.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Wolverines.
Wolverines.
Rest in peace, Harry Dean Stanton. Wolverines. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.